children. They don't care about the consequences of what they say. Oh, yeah, shoot down Russian planes. Not like that could escalate into Armageddon in about 8 minutes or anything. These people are insane. They're totally reckless. It's our future they're gaming with. They should be ashamed of themselves. But they're not ashamed at all. In fact, they're doubling down on their aggression and their moral certainty. And in the process, they are deeply influencing the policy of the U.S. government and therefore, once again, this country's future. The most reckless among us fully in charge. On Wednesday, in response to their relentless prodding, Joe Biden once again suggested the United States might soon be in a hot war with nuclear-armed Russia.
Here's the point. This war can continue for a long time, but the United States will continue to stand with Ukraine and the Ukrainian people in the fight for freedom. And I just want you to know that. And by the way, if I got to go to war, I'm going with you guys. I tell you. I mean it.
This war might go on for a long time. Well, not surprising. They're getting a lot out of it in Washington. The Ukrainian people are getting absolutely nothing other than exile and death and destruction of their country. But in Washington, many are benefiting. As Joe Biden said, if I have to go to war, I'm going with you guys. Well, actually, no, you won't be, Mr. President, because you'll be 80 this fall. You're not going to lead troops into battle alongside the White House press corps. You're just going to cause others to do that. Joe Kent has seen this story before. He is a retired Green Beret. He's running for Congress in the state of Washington. He joins us tonight. Joe, thanks so much for coming on. It's almost unfair to hold up media lunacy as if it matters. It's just that all of a sudden it seems like it does matter. And it seems like intemperate, reckless nihilists in Washington are pushing the administration toward what could be a true disaster.
Yeah, absolutely, Tucker. I mean, the rhetoric coming from the media, coming from the national security state, and many of our elected officials is just completely irresponsible for all the reasons that you outlined. What I want to call people's attention to is that, hey, we are the Iraq War generation. We've seen this movie before recently. Many of us, like myself, we went, we fought. I lost my late wife fighting in these conflicts. We know exactly how we were lied to. We could lay it out chapter and verse, the lies that the media told, the lies that the administration told. Everyone can regurgitate those right now, and we're seeing it all being paired right now in this Ukraine war, in this effort to get us into a conflict with Russia. So I think we need our lawmakers to actually respect the American people enough to come back to their districts, Congress, like the Constitution says, and to tell everyone what's going to happen. If we're going to continue to sanction Putin, if we're going to continue to call him a war criminal like we did with Gaddafi and with Saddam, if we're going to continue to send $14 billion of our own money over to Ukraine so that they can fight Russia, what's going to happen? What are the possible scenarios? If we continue to push the Russian economy into the arms of the Chinese Communist Party, what's going to happen to our economy? None of these discussions are being had. Instead, we're watching the road to the Iraq War Part 2, except for this time it might be World War III, as opposed to a prolonged insurgency.
And there's much less debate even than there was in 2002 and 2003. I was involved in that debate. I was on the wrong side, I'm afraid. I'm embarrassed to admit. But I watched it. And there were a lot of strong and sensible voices on both sides. I don't see any voices on the other side. People are so intimidated being called pro-Putin, even those of us who have zero interest in Putin or Russia, could care less, only care about the United States. Why aren't we do what you just said, a very clear explanation for what this will cost, how it benefits us, why we would do this? What the hell are they even talking about?
I think right now there's a lot of very cold and calculating people in our political apparatus right now that they know that war and this desire for us to be on the right side, this narrative is very compelling and very powerful for Americans. It allows them to distract from all of their other failings. The country is in a bad way right now. It was in a bad way before everything that happened in Ukraine. And the easiest thing to do is to saber rattle and to let this expansion continue towards war, as opposed to addressing the real problems that we're having right now with our economy, with our southern border, all of the above. It's much easier for them just to saber rattle us towards war for their own political gain. But these people cannot be trusted. We need to be demanding that our elected officials, our congressmen and our congresswomen come back to their districts and explain to the American people what's happening right now. I was really frustrated to see that only a handful of Republicans today and a few Democrats actually stood up and voted against further sanctions against Russia just because of the ramifications of further isolating Russia and exacerbating this conflict.
Yeah, and hurting our economy, But this is one of those cases where right-wing media sounds exactly the same as liberal media, or Kevin McCarthy is exactly the same as Nancy Pelosi. That should make normal people very, very, very nervous. I know it makes
That's
you
right. We've seen this movie before. Everyone can tell exactly what happened with the Iraq War, and most recently, the COVID narrative, January 6th, the election, Hunter's laptop. The list of lies just go on and on. We have every right. As a matter of fact, I would say that every American has a responsibility right now to question what's coming from the media and to question what's coming from our elected officials before we get pushed into World War III. Our children's future and our grandchildren's future is on the line in every way, shape, and form right now.
Exactly. Democrats have been calling their opponents Putin stooges for 6 years, and now Republicans are calling their opponents Putin stooges. It's unbelievable. Joe Kent, great to see you tonight. Thank you.